Welcome to Midwest Matters. I'm Joe Galvan, HUD Midwest Regional Administrator. I'm your host for this series of conversations that highlight both the initiatives of HUD Secretary Ben Patterson and some of the best practices that we're seeing throughout the Midwest region. Today, we're talking to HUD Regional Administrator Chris Patterson, who's my counterpart, colleague, and friend, and he oversees HUD's Pacific states. Chris is HUD's national lead for the Foster Youth Independence Initiative, as well as our lead on the National Foster Care Month, which we are currently celebrating. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Joe. Honored to be here.
Now, Chris, you have a unique story which inspires many of us in the industry. Can you please share with our audience your personal story and your connection to foster youth initiatives?
Yeah. So my story is I grew up in the system from birth until 5. I was in what's called receiving homes. And then at 5 years of age, my foster parents at that time had adopted me. And then from there, from 5 until 12, I stayed with them and then went back into the system until 12 years of age and ended up graduating from high school, went straight into the Job Corps and went into college and just kind of, did my own thing as far as working, but I'd always worked full time to get through college and, do what you have to do. Because when you're a foster youth, there's a huge level of uncertainty, because your foster parents only get paid to take care of you, when you are in their care. And if they can adopt you, that's one option. But that's not always the case. And, I was very fortunate that I had a really good foster parents. I grew up on a small dairy farm, small country farm up north outside of Spokane, Washington, and had worked all the way through high school with vocational programs. They used to have a Speedy Summer Youth Program. And then they had some other youth programs out there that was there for helping people like myself to move on and become more independent. And I took full advantage of it. So I was pretty fortunate. And, fast forward, going through college and worked about 28 years in the private sector, working with autism, schizophrenia, bipolar, dual diagnosed, co-occurring disorders, sexually abused kids, physically abused, drug addicted, and so on. And then I had, been appointed underneath Secretary Carson, which is a huge honor to work for the man, someone I highly respect. And then at that point in time, he had made me the national lead in July of 2019 for the Foster Youth to Independence Initiative, which, specifically helps kids who are aging out of the system, who have aged out, either they're currently in the system or they've aged out already. And it gives up to 24,000 vouchers for housing vouchers on demand, specifically only for kids who have aged out of the system. And it's something that we all, like yourself and our counterpart regional administrators and the employees of HUD, see the value of it, especially during the coronavirus, which has really, exemplified the need for stability and a safe place to live.
Chris, that initiative, it came about so quickly, and I remember being with the secretary and rolling it out in Wisconsin, and then I was impressed because not only are you the regional administrator out and taking care of the states out there, but you have now been involved with the White House and you've been involved across the country. You did a rollout with one of our groups out in Minnesota. What other things are you doing over the next couple of months?
We're working on quite a bit of stuff. I know that, obviously the president had signed a proclamation for foster youth, and being that May is National Foster Youth Month, it's something that's very important. It's not just a moment in time where you talk about it politically. It's just something that we all believe in, making sure we help our future workforce, our youth. It's from the ages of 18 to 25. More specifically, you look at the age group of 16 to 25 to giving them an opportunity to, you get vocational skill-based trainings, which we tie into everything that all of our initiatives, as you know, whether it's opportunity zones and vision centers, Section 3, foster youth independence. These are all things that relate to a strong economy and strong infrastructure. Obviously, right now with the coronavirus, that has impacted people's ability to make a living and their security and the safety. They're concerned about that. So these initiatives are more important now than they ever have been, to make sure that we get back out there and support the people, especially our vulnerable populations. And I think that with everything that's moving forward, I know I'm going to be working with Homeland Security, ICE, because there's an issue with trafficking. When you get a population like foster youth, up to 60% kids age out of the foster care system are trafficked.
Yep.
So we're going to start, I'm looking at that. I know that we're working with SBA. They have initiatives on their own that are working to help former foster youth or current foster youth who want to become entrepreneurs and business owners. USDA is wanting to help. HHS. There's several federal agencies that are all wanting to jump on board because they know that this is important.
We're going to kick off the Foster Youth Initiative Roundtable discussion in Ohio online on May 28th. And we're going to continue that, but we're bringing together our partners for the discussion, like state child welfare, public housing authorities, health and human services you've mentioned, nonprofits who are focusing on foster youth, and foster youth themselves, and bringing them all together in one space to discuss aspects of participation in the Foster Youth Independence Initiative. These are really, really difficult times for these young people. And we always say the youth are our most valuable resource for this nation. So either we help them and move them forward and support them, or they fall through the cracks and they never get back on their feet again. So, Chris, just any other things you want to say about some of the opportunities that are coming on board that we should be aware of for our audience?
I would just remind people that as we move forward, I know that it's difficult times right now, and I know it's affecting families across the country, across the world. And I think the biggest thing is we need to remember that the work we've all done up until this point is crucial. Remember, we're going to get back to it, and that we're going to continue supporting these people of all populations, but especially the Foster Youth Independence Initiative is something that this is our future workforce. These people are eventually someday going to be the ones taking care of us. And I think that we need to make sure that they're prepared in the best ability. So this initiative alone, I guess it was tied with opportunity zones and vision centers, Section 3, the public-private partnerships within the country. The community is really jumping on board to support each other. You have to think outside the box in the most inopportune times. And as a good business person, you always want to think outside the box, and you want to look at what's something you haven't tried yet, and not be afraid to jump in. So I think this is where we're at right now, and it's a moment where we're all cherishing it. I know you do, our counterparts, and throughout the rest of the country do. So I think the biggest thing is just keep pushing forward and making sure people know that we're here to support it, and just keep knocking down doors.
Great. Chris, I just want to say thank you. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for everything you're doing across the nation to highlight this issue for foster youth. As you said, these young people, they are our future. So we want to thank you for sharing the updates, all you're doing in promoting National Foster Care Month, and everything you're doing to address the issues that affect foster youth. Thank you, Chris. Up next on HUD Midwest Matters, I'll be talking to Michael Simonton, CEO of the Housing Authority of Joliet. I hope you can all join us. And at the end of this broadcast, you will see some more information on how to contact and sign up for registration for Ohio. So wishing you a health, safety, and we'll see you next time.